Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my very first Q&A. We are now at 630 subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, let me give you 2 seconds. Fix it. Hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. So I made a post on my community tab asking you guys to just send me your questions. And today I'm gonna respond to them. So let's get into it. Alright, so this is in no particular order. And the first question is from Tyler. Hi Tyler. And it says, how did you build up the courage to move/work in a different country away from your family and friends? How has the transition been? Advice to someone who wants to do this move. Now, this is my 3rd time moving from Jamaica. I lived in Bahamas for 2 years for school, and I did a 1-year work and travel in the States. Now, the difference between this one is that there were timelines associated with my previous move. Like, yeah, you go in school must done, you must graduate. Well, that's the plan. Or you go on your work and travel program, you must go here unless you decide to go run off or do a little business marriage. But with this move, there was a lot more risk associated. I had a job that I really loved, and so it was weighing pros and cons. I did love my routine. I have a tight group of friends back home, and so it was almost like, oh my gosh, I'm stepping into the unknown. Then I said to myself, well, what if I go there and I don't make it past probation? Like, I would have already resigned from my job. There's someone that they're gonna hire to replace me. So there was a lot of mental struggles surrounding the move. But obviously, it's something I prayed about. I weighed the pros and the cons, and I said, you know what, I also know I'm someone that if I don't take chances, I'm going to end up saying what if. And so I decided to take the plunge. The transition, to be honest, has not been horrible. It wasn't horrible. I mean, obviously there are days when I get homesick. There are days when, I would cry. I'm much better now, I would say. But yeah, the transition hasn't been bad. Antigua reminds me, I would say, of Jamaica, far more quiet, more like Eastern Jamaica, as I would have said in my expat video. But yeah, and for anyone that wants to make this move, just do your research and see if it's the right move for you. But yeah, the world is your oyster. So I just feel like, especially when you're young and even when you have a family, you can research and see what are your options for moving to another country and bringing your family with you. So yeah, I have not regretted my move. There was another question that was kind of similar. This is from Marsha, and she asked me, when do I come to visit? Marsha, anytime. My door is open. You can come and stay with me. Is there anything that has happened more than once that makes you say, no man, I need to go home? Of course. I think especially earlier in my move, there were 1 or 2 challenges that I had faced, and I was just like, I remember this one particular night, I just laid in my bed and my eyes was just piercing on the ceiling. And if anybody that know me, call me Sleeping Beauty. I don't miss naps, okay? I don't miss my sleep. But I just stared in the ceiling and I just said, what did I do? And I just felt like I made the biggest mistake of my life. But as time went on, I'm in a much better place with my move, as I had said before. Dwayne says, do you prefer Antigua beaches or Jamaica? All right. Overall, if I'm honest, Antigua has nicer beaches, but my favorite beach is Frenchman Cove. Anybody that has been to Frenchman Cove, there's no beach in Antigua that compares to Frenchman Cove. It's this brackish water. You have the river on one side, the sea on one side. It's just so beautiful. And so for me, that's my favorite beach. And so there's no beach in Antigua that compares to my favorite beach in Jamaica. But overall, I would say Antigua has nicer beaches. I love that the access to their beaches. Every beach in Antigua is free. Their beaches look, I would say they're better maintained. And so, all of them look like a perfect screensaver background. Also, I do go to the beach far more here, and because I am a Kingston girl, access is not like I live in Negril or Ochi or Moby. I don't live close to the coast where you find all those nice beaches, because in Jamaica, of course, you have to know where to find the nice beaches. Not all of our beaches are pretty, let's just be honest. I would definitely give Antigua the better beaches, but then also something else that I consider is that the beach is part of the product, but then sometimes you have to factor the vibe. So if for you prefer your beach day to be like music and dominoes, and of course you can build that vibe here, but I would say a Jamaican beach have far more vibes. If you're talking about your soft life era, then that's definitely Antigua. And of course, again, they have 365 beaches, so there are many days that I go to the beach and it's me one or me and two other persons, and it's just perfect, you know. So I will say I kind of give them the edge when it comes to the beaches. So the next question is from Helena, and she asks, what are the pros and cons of working in hospitality? Now I would say that the pros is that no 2 days are the same. Working in a hotel is actually quite entertaining. You get to meet people from all walks of life. I would say personally for myself, I would have seen massive improvement in being emotionally intelligent, especially being a self-regulator. I remember the first time, I guess, screamed at me was probably when I was maybe 18 years old, and I cried. I went around the back and made ball. But now I can remain very calm through the interaction, even if I'm being yelled at, and I can just remain professional and just focus on the solutions rather than, you know, the way in which the message is being delivered. I would also say over time, you know, anyone that works in hospitality, you know, they just become creative. You become sharp, like a quick thinker, and that's because that's what the industry requires. You know, there are so many situations that comes to you on a daily basis, and though they may be similar, sometimes there's differences, so you have to deal with it by a case situation, trying to, you know, de-escalate any negative experience that it is that a guest has. And so, you know, those are the things that I would say those are some plus. Of course, you can get the ability to travel. Let's say, for example, if your brand is opening another location, you can get, you know, task force opportunities to travel, go to conferences. I know that this is not the only industry that allows you to travel, but, you know, it's one of the perks in being in hospitality, I would say. Now, for the cons, definitely work-life balance can become affected. That's one of the reasons why I decided to switch from operations and head into HR. There's also, I would say, a lot of emotional labor that is required, because in every business, if you think about it, there is a customer service provider relationship, a doctor patient, I don't know, you're in a supermarket, customer, you are a passenger, driver. But there's something about when you speak now about a hotel and you're speaking about guests. The expectation within the hospitality industry is far greater than any industry when you talk about customer service, and it's because what a customer is really purchasing is an experience. You know, they're purchasing something that is intangible, versus you go to supermarket and you take up your flour and stuff like that. But with that, it is the employees that has to live out that experience. And so with that, working in the industry requires a lot of emotional labor, and so you may be having a bad day, but then when you clock in, you know, you have to now put on that mask and you have to smile and you have to perform, essentially, you know. So that can get you over time and become mentally draining. So I remember, even though, you know, working with guests, being at the front desk, like, I was a boss at it, but at the same time, you know, I literally just got burnt out, because in making other persons happy every single day, I mean, at that time when I was working in the industry in operations, I was working 6 days. My day off was on a Wednesday. I just got tired, and, you know, I felt like I was spending so much time at work, very little time with my family, and so that's why I made the transition into HR. I would say HR comes with its own challenges, and I'm sure HR in any industry, not just hotels, but you find that it can move from sometimes a challenge being rude guests to rude staff, and sometimes they can break your hearts too. You know, they can break your spirit. You can plan initiatives, and, you know, you even include them in the initiatives, but then you'll always have one or two persons that will, you know, make remarks, and it just kills your spirit. I also even had experience someone even reducing me and refusing to call me by my name. So it's like HR, and it wasn't that the person didn't know my name. As I said, it was more just trying to poke and, you know, be provoking. Can you imagine if someone is a room attendant, a housekeeper, and you refuse to call the person by their name, you call them you housekeeper. It's not lazy, it's just disrespectful. So yeah, there's a lot of pros. It's an industry that I absolutely love, but of course there are some cons with it as well. All right, so my next question is from Dwayne, and it says, do you prefer working in Jamaican hotels or Antiguan hotels? No, this wouldn't be fair to Antigua because I've only worked in one property versus in Jamaica I've worked in several. But I will say that I do prefer smaller properties versus like large all-inclusives. It's just more intimate when you work in smaller spaces. You feel like you know your team more. However, what I will say about working in Antigua, because the country on a whole is so diverse, versus I would say in Jamaica, working in a hotel, 90 to 95% of your staff is going to be Jamaicans. At least that was my experience. And maybe 5% is maybe expats. Here, the entire island, I would say, is super diverse, and so your co-workers as well, you know, they're going to be coming from different countries, and so I absolutely love that. I would say that while they're with that though, it can become a bit cliquish, and so it's almost that inclusivity and exclusivity can coexist. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you get it, you get it. So, but all in all, again, you know, I really like having diverse team members. I get to learn about all the different cultures. You know, in my department alone, you have 2 Jamaicans, you have Antiguans, you have Dominicans, you have a Guyanese. Yeah, and so that's just my department, so I like it. Shaniki also asks a question to say, what do you like most about working in different country? I would say just the overall culture. I'm someone, if I work in a different country, yeah, it's not just gonna be about the workplace. Me, I gotta experience the country. I'm gonna experience the culture. I'm gonna try and go and do an excursion on my day off, or go there, whatever the country has to offer. I'm going to try and immerse myself in that. So that is what I love the most. So I have 2 questions that are similar, so I'm just going to read both of them and then respond. So Tashika says, do you prefer Antigua food over Jamaican food? How is the experience there versus Jamaica? And then Sharika says, what's the food culture like in Antigua? What do you recommend having when we visit? I absolutely prefer Jamaican food over Antigua food. Yes, you guys can have the beaches, but I'm sorry, Jamaica on top with the food. I do recommend having pepper pot. Pepper pot is their national dish. It is served with fungi. Fungi is what we call in Jamaica tonka meal. So that is their national dish. So definitely if you visit Antigua, ensure that you have pepper pot and fungi. There's also some other local specials. You have rice pudding. You have, my battery is dying, I'm sorry. You have rice pudding. You have chop up. You have, well, they have sauce. I'm used to sauce from Bahamas. Yeah, and so there's other local stuff, but I would highly recommend pepper pot and fungi if you travel. And the experience, similar to Jamaica, but far more slow pace, far more quiet, and yeah. All right, so Wadia asks, how is the dating pool in Antigua? Ghetto. Absolutely ghetto.
Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto.
I'm in the ghetto. Ra-ta-ta-ta.
Alright, to be fair, dating globally in 2025 is just ghetto. But I think what amplifies it here is because it's so small and it feels like everyone knows everyone. They may not know you personally, but they will know of you. And so I would just say, if you decide to date someone here, pray and just hope that you both are on the same page with what your intentions are. I find that if you're in a bigger country, it is, you can at least take your L in silence, but there's a high possibility if you know it doesn't work out for you, then chances are someone knows about what happened. And so that's a thing that can be absolutely scary about dating here. And yeah, everyone is connected. You probably go on a date with someone. Oh, where you work? Oh, I work here. You know this person my cousin, this person my ex, this person is my this person. Yeah, there's if you value privacy, it can get tricky, but Can I meet the love of my life here? Absolutely. Would I take home a Bible and say, God, intervene? God, talk to me, please? Absolutely. I would call on him to give me direction, because that is just what it feels like. But yeah, you can absolutely meet the love of your life here if you move here, but again, proceed with caution, because again, it's such a small island. All right, so my next question is from Marshall, and she asks, what health and fitness tips do you have for the girlies? Now, if you didn't know, I actually lost maybe around 40 pounds in 2023. And if you even look at some of my previous YouTube videos, my face is like, I mean, I was still cute though. But all in all, I would say when it comes to health and fitness tips, you have to do what works for you. And that's why even when you look on social media, persons will say, oh, if you want to lose weight, you have to just train, or you have to do cardio, or don't do cardio, or you know, the other day I saw something, don't run, it's better you walk. And I'm just like, you know what, let people do what works for them. And so for me, what worked for me was kickboxing. So I was gifted a kickboxing like monthly experience for my birthday in September 2022. And the minute I entered the class, there was something about it that just made me say, I like this. You know, you go to the class, you're barefoot. It was almost like this very zen, free-spirited kind of place. You put down your phone and you just go hard. And I think because there was something in it that I was trying to learn to perfect my techniques. I was trying to learn the jabs, the cross, the hooks, and the kicks. And it's a perfect full body workout for me. So maybe around 5 months after that, I just saw the weight just shoot off my body. You know, it was like before I was like, oh, sister, may I lose weight? Everybody was like, no. And then afterwards it was like, Candice, share a secret with me. I was like, kickboxing. And if I'm honest, when I decided to move here, one of the things that I was worried about was like, oh my God, am I gonna have a kickboxing class? You know, because the 2 times I became significantly overweight was when I was living outside of Jamaica. And so in coming here now, I didn't find a class, but I started going to the gym. Am I motivated to go to the gym? Not really, but I still do it because now, I mean, I'm happy with my body. I just want to tone and just maintain. And so I go to the gym. I mean, I switched my gym recently. I've spoken about this in a previous video. So I started a new gym in April. Several of my co-workers go to the gym. Again, the island small, can't escape nobody, right? What I will say is that they will cheer me on. So if them see me leaving, where you going now, man, do another set. So, you know, it is, I will say, when I finish workout, I feel good. When you also have to think about your meals that you're consuming. So years ago, I had cut out soda, and I didn't miss it when I did. And there was one point in my life, Pepsi could have called me a brand ambassador, because I am telling you, I could have chugged down Pepsi from morning till night. And so I cut that out. I've also done like a keto diet. The first time I did keto was 2019. And then keto was a thing that I was doing for some time, like whenever I had like an event coming up. So like if I know, say I have a wedding to go, I'd go on like a keto diet for like a month. But even though for me, like a diet like that is not sustainable, what it helped me with overall is discipline. And so I realized ever since like I went on keto, I no longer eat like a full serving of fries, or, you know, I'm not so, you know, my carb craving, I've learned to kind of, you know, curb that. And I have a huge sweet tooth, but again, I've learned to kind of decline it. So, you know, going on those diets, again, while it's not sustainable and I'm very aware of it, I will say that it has helped me now with having a lifestyle where I consume far more healthier meals where that is concerned. But again, do what works for you, and also get rest, because if you are going hard in a gym or swimming or whatever you're doing, and you know you're eating well, but then you're neglecting that rest, you're not gonna see the results that you want. All right, so my next question is from Chantel. She said, if you could sum it up, what would a perfect ideal future be like for you? What's the best time you think to travel to Antigua, and top 5 must-do activities? Name one thing above all else you love about Antigua. And she says, miss you. and continue to enjoy your Antiguan adventure. Miss you too. All right, so I'm going to answer the first part. What would an ideal future be like? To be honest, I just want my family to be alive and well. Honestly, like that's something that is always at the back of my head. Like I just want my immediate family to be healthy, to be alive, and to be present with me. And also for myself, financial freedom. I would love to, I feel like I'm sitting on so much potential and there's so much greatness in me. You know, that's me just knowing what I'm capable of, and I know that there's more things I can tap into. And so I would love to kind of build out on those things, and yeah, and just overall be happy and content and have a good relationship with God. What is the best time to visit Antigua? I think it depends on what you're into. So if you're into carnival, like August would be a good time. July, August would be a good time. If you're into yachting, I would say December to around April, because boat life is a big thing here. So it just depends on what you like. I would say the top 5 most things to do. One would be Shirley Heights. I mean, it was just the other day that I finally got a chance to go to the parties. They have two parties per week. They have a Thursday and they have a Sunday. So I got a chance to go to the Sunday one, which is pretty much like a live band. They have food out. It's like a barbecue and everything. So it's really nice. But if you don't go to the party, I mean, it's just the most beautiful place to take pictures and, you know, just walk around and then just go down by Nelson Stockyard afterwards. Another top thing I would recommend is doing like a circumnavigation tour. That was the first excursion I did when I moved here, and when my parents came and visited me in Christmas, that was their favorite thing that they did. I would recommend going to Barbuda for a day. I mean, it's a twin island, sister island, so you can take a ferry and go over there. They have a beautiful pink sand beach. They have the national bird is called frigate bird, and so they have a beautiful sanctuary where you go in a boat and you just see these birds, and it's just so stunning. There's the Princess Diana beach, and it's right, Nobu is actually on that beach, and I believe the Nobu in Barbuda is the only coastal Nobu on this side of the world. I haven't been to the Nobu before. We go to Uncle Roddy's, which is a really nice restaurant. There's a cave there that you can hike, and you can do all of that in the time space that the ferry drops you off, and it's time to leave. And the drivers time the ferry, so they know when to carry you back to catch the boat. Another thing that I would recommend is I really enjoyed Stingray City and La Viscount Island. So if you're here, I would highly recommend that. And let me see what else I would recommend. I mean, there's so many nice restaurants to go to, so depending on what you like, definitely check out the food scene here. They have so many lovely restaurants. But yeah, it's a really nice place to visit. One thing above all else I love about Antigua, I don't know, I think maybe just the peace and quiet. It's loud. I don't know if that makes sense. But all right, so the next question is from Taisha, and she asks, what has been your favorite travel experience so far and why? And what tips do you have for someone who wants to start their own vlog? So in terms of favorite travel experience, I haven't been a lot of places. Like, I haven't explored the world the way I want to. So maybe let me add that to Chantel's question. I would love to travel the world. That's in my ideal future as well. But maybe 2 things that stood out to me through travel experience was going to Disney World and also getting to watch Lion King on Broadway. As a child, and for many of us as children, you know, going to Disney is like your biggest dream come true, and I never got to experience that as a child. Can't afford that. And then Lion King is my favorite movie, so I got to watch it on Broadway. Taisha watched it with you on Broadway. But those experiences, it was like the little girl in me was so happy. And so those are 2 travel moments that I will never forget. I also had an amazing time with my family. I believe this was Christmas 2021. My sister was living in Memphis at the time, and I thought, oh, ghetto. But it actually, listen, Memphis don't sleep on Memphis, okay? Memphis is that place. It was so nice. It was like almost like a historical Christmas for us, because we went to Memphis. We did like the Lorraine Hotel, I hope I'm saying it right, where they had shot Martin Luther King Jr. And then we drove to Atlanta, so we were driving through other southern states. We did a lot of places that Christmas, and it was the first Christmas in a long time that my entire family was together. So that was a travel experience that I will never forget. In terms of tips with starting a vlog, I would say just be brave and just do it. I mean, again, I started YouTube because I was a teacher and a lot of my students were visual students, and there were times when I didn't have a video that I could show in class to just kind of reinforce what I was teaching them. And so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna create a channel. And I remember there was some discomfort with asking persons to like subscribe, and you know, even when it comes to like posting a video, hey, you can like the video, and I still feel that sometimes to today. It makes me human. But just start. Don't wait until you get the proper equipment. I mean, I'm currently shooting this video on my iPhone 13, so you know, it's not like I have like the proper equipment. I don't have a ring light. I had a ring light in Jamaica, but I didn't bring it here. But you know, every time it's just me on my phone until, you know, hopefully and one day I will get monetized and I can, you know, start, you know, buying equipment. I can buy a camera, I can buy, you know, proper lighting, you know, I can buy the little fuzzy someone I see people use. I can buy a little pocket camera, you know, all these little things that I hear them talk about on TikTok, and when I look on the price, I'm like, sweetheart, the price is too crazy. So, you know, but just start and be authentic. I think people like realness. At least for me, I like realness. All right, and I believe this is my last question. And Jimmy asks, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently, career-wise, dating, moving, etc.? I do believe career-wise, I'm in the industry that I love. I mean, other than that, I would be an actress, you know, but I have found myself second guessing myself quite a lot in the past, and I wish I would have trusted my instincts and, you know, trust my judgment a lot more. In terms of dating, listen, I have written chapters that should have remained drafts, unedited. They should have stayed in the notes apps, but we live and we learn. And in terms of maybe finances, I definitely wish I had made better decisions. But again, also, we live and we learn, and it's just something that we move forward and we don't beat ourselves up on certain experiences or mistakes that we would have made in the past. Moving, no regrets. I have loved every moving experience I have had. Not only does it amplify my resume, but it's something I can always look back and say, I did that, you know, or, you know, I'm happy that I've experienced that. I'm happy that I've met this person along the way. It's so funny that this message is coming from Ginny, and you are the best part of my experience in Bahamas. You know, one juicy, never two. She's from Barbados, I'm from Jamaica, and funny enough, we actually started a YouTube. Well, we didn't start a YouTube channel, but we started like Facebook videos called Juicy Vlogs. Her name is Juju, my name is Cece. And so I would have never met you if I didn't move. And so, you know, this is all part of the journey, and I'm so happy for that. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you to everyone that submitted a question. I am so grateful for your continued support, and I just looking forward for us to just continue growing this channel and just reach that 1,000 milestone. I'm not even gonna say 700. Let's get to 1,000. Thank you again, and have a great week.